Mr. Peters, welcome to the program. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, probably our end. And for that, yeah, okay. Mr. Peters, is the government going to honour the coalition agreement that said it would move against men unfairly competing in women's sports?
Yes, we are. Things are just underway. You've got clearly some people in the system, in terms of officials, who can't read, and you've got some people in the sporting management that can't read either. But the coalition agreement is very, very clear, and the so-called, sport New Zealand criteria is simply outside of what the coalition agreement envisages.
Well, Chris Bishop seems fine with it, Mr. Peters. He says the government is approaching a watching brief on this, taking a watching brief.
Well, there are many interpreters of the watching brief, and you're hearing one right now, because what I'm watching is a breach of the coalition agreement, in the sense that these people are just saying, look, we have got a Sport New Zealand, we have got a criteria. Well, I'm afraid that criteria is absolutely permissive. It is really a circumstance of being permissive and leading to unfairness when it comes to young women and girls who are starting the sport. I've noticed, by the way, they have never got a problem the other way around, women going to men's sports.
Well, because women don't do that. Women don't cheat like that. Mr. Peters, then, which minister is going to go to Raelene Castles and tell her to rewrite that policy, which puts diversity above fairness?
Well, my plan is to perhaps be at the rugby this Saturday night if I can. Might even meet her there, but I plan to tell her the first thing I've got to do is face the fact that there's a far bigger issue faced by New Zealand rugby and get on top of that, because we don't want any mess going forward. And the second thing is to listen to what the code of conduct that we request says and put it in place, and stop saying that the one that you've got, which was there when we came into the election and we were campaigning against it, is sufficient. That's about as simple as it gets. And I'm going to make sure that ministers and cabinet ministers are not misled by officials giving false assurances when they've taken no action at all.
Are you saying that Chris Bishop was misled, or that he is in breach of the coalition agreement because he said all the government was doing was taking a watching brief?
No, Mr. Bishop is not misled, and he's not in breach of the coalition agreement. I'm saying that the sporting interests out there who want to have taxpayers' funding are in breach if they think they can get away with that. And it's not because I'm being antagonistic to anyone or being unfair to anybody. I just want there to be, or my party does, total fairness when it comes to women, and someone does not have a massive biological advantage which makes the whole thing farcical and unfair. So, Mr. Bishop is having a watch. I'm going to be speaking to him today and saying to him, look, I think that somebody in the officialdom has simply failed to do their job properly and convey to these sporting bodies precisely what the government's policy is, and when they're reporting back, didn't convey exactly what they hadn't done to the government.
All right. So I want to clarify here, Mr. Peters, these are quite serious issues. You believe that...
I wouldn't have campaigned on them. I wouldn't have campaigned on them and taken all the ignominy of all these do-gooders trying to attack me during the campaign if I didn't think it was a serious issues. I wouldn't have campaigned, for example, on men not being allowed to go to a women's toilet if I didn't think it was a blatantly unfair and serious issue. At least I take it seriously, and we need to have the coalition agreement on it.
So whether it be at the rugby this Saturday night, if you can you can rustle up a ticket, you will be telling Raelene Castles, the head of Sport New Zealand, that she needs to rewrite her guidelines to put fairness and the safety of women in precedence over diversity, right? Are you going to tell her that if she doesn't do that, she loses her job?
I don't think, and look, I don't think it is manners to tell people what you're going to do by way of a third party.
All right.
However, if you ask me what I was going to say, I'll be saying to her, if I was to see her, was to say, that's not what the coalition agreement says. The conditions that we inherited, unchanged, are not satisfactory. And if you want us to be supporting sport, then play the game.
Wow.
It's not complex.
Okay, and that isn't complex. Okay, so you're going to want new guidelines. If sports don't follow the new guidelines, will they lose funding, government funding?
That's what the policy says.
Wow. All right. Who is the Who is the point minister on this? Because we've got some confusion with what Bishop said. Who is the minister running this?
Well, it's actually more than the minister running this. In the end, it comes back to the Prime Minister. We're all here responsible for the Prime Minister. And so you've got ministries, for example, like sport, but then there are other ministers associated with sport where legal issues might arise, where it could be a justice issue. There's just a lot of complicated support here, but really the matter goes all the way to the government. We're a government that signed a coalition agreement. Now honour it. That's all.
Okay.
And
I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here, Winston, but if you were not to get the support of Mr. Bishop and the Prime Minister on this, they went to back. Have you already talked to them about it?
I have the support because they signed the coalition agreement.
Okay, if they don't give you their support in reality, is this potentially the first serious breach of the coalition agreement?
No, we'll be getting support. I'm confident of that. I suspect what I see here is that some people have not told the ministers exactly what's going on and thought they could slide by sort of the old Father Thames attitude, for men may come and men may go, or ministers may come and ministers may go, but I go on forever. Well, those civil servants need to be told something. No, you don't. You do the darn job.
Can you give me a time frame on when you want this policy from Sport New Zealand to be rewritten?
Urgently in the following months from now.
All right. Very interesting, Mr. Peters, and I thank you very much indeed for your time this morning and for clearing up. And I know you obviously felt yesterday that you'd been kind of misreported, which is why you came out.
Can I just say, I was actually quite shocked by this thing because I was chairing the cabinet the day before that. I had the post-cab with all the journalists there, and there was this journalist from the Herald secretly getting ready to try and nail us without even calling my office. This is disgusting journalism, Sean, and it should not be allowed to persist.
All right. Well, we look forward, and I'm sure many of our listeners look forward to action on this issue in the weeks, perhaps months ahead. And I thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Cheers.